Hi there, today I'm going to do a review of one of my coffee grinders. This particular one is a Cuisinart CBM-18. It is a conical burr grinder. It has stainless steel conical shaped burrs. Conical burrs tend to be a little bit more consistent with their grind than flat disc burrs, especially at this price point, meaning $100 or less. So let me open this up and show you what they look like. Let's take this all the way to the right, and then there's a dot in the back here where your arrow points to, and the bean hopper lifts off. And this is what a conical burr looks like. And then this is nice because it actually has a little handle that you can lift it right out. So this is the upper burr. This is stationary when you put it in there. I don't know, I can bring it up close so you can see how it's grooved for grinding. This is what the bottom looks like. It has slightly smaller grooves. Okay, and when you put that down inside here to meet up with the other burr, this burr, as you see, it's more cone-shaped. So when they fit together, drops in like that, and that's what it looks like. So this is the center one, is the one that will spin and grind the coffee and then dispense it through a chute and into here. Okay. Let's get this back together here. And you have an arrow here. There's 18 grind settings. It's actually separated into 3 sections here, and I'll get to why in a minute. 1 through 6 is considered the fine and extra fine for espresso. Then the section 7 through 12 is auto drip, which you could use also for pour over. And then sections 13 through 18 is for French press. That's what it's labeled for, or cold brew, things that you would need an extra coarse grind setting for. It has a digital readout. This is a little bit different from the DBM-8, the small disc grinder. What you can do now, if you store your coffee in here, this is where the number of cups will come in handy. I generally just put in my 2 tablespoons for my double shot of espresso in the morning, grind that, and then leave it empty. But some people I know like to store their coffee beans in here, and that way it eliminates an extra step of having to measure it out. So what you would do is set it for a number of cups. You can set it from, let's take it all the way back. It'll go from 1 cup all the way up to 14 cups. And of course, these are coffee cup measurements, which would be like the Italian demi-tasse cups. It's not a full 6 or 8 ounce cup, I should say. Over here, you will get a readout. I don't know if you can actually see this because it's kind of bright showing up on the video, but there'll be a readout of the number that you have your setting at. Right now, it's set at number 1, the finest for espresso. And then that section 1 through 6, you will also have a little icon there for the espresso and showing you what section you're in. And it'll have a little icon of portafilter. And then when you bring it up into the middle section for auto drip, it will display the specific number you're dialed in at, and then it will have a little icon of the glass coffee pot that's most common with drip brewers. And then when you get up into the higher number section of French press, again, it will show the number you're at, and then it has a little icon of a French press, a little mocha pot. So it's helpful that way too. All right, and then I just wanted to go over something really briefly. Oh, I should mention before I do that, is you just hit the start button. It will grind the number of cups you have it set at, and then dispense it into here, and it shuts off automatically. If for whatever reason you need to turn it off sooner than that, the phone's ringing and you can't hear over the grinder, or you notice that you've got it on the wrong setting and you don't want it to keep grinding, you want it finer or coarser or whatever, you can hit this button again and it will automatically stop. There's also a manual grind button. So if you know how much you need, or you just want to grind, like say a tablespoon of beans in here, and you don't want to set this and then leave it running and running and running, you can just hit the manual button, and you will have to hold that down. It's kind of like a pulse function where you hold it down, and when you let go, it stops. So there's also that option. The other thing I wanted to go over real briefly too is Burr grinders in general, they're great coffee grinders. They're very consistent. They create wonderful coffee. The downside to most of them is that they create static. And it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. And then a lot of them have a plastic collection cup, which just sort of increases, makes the situation a little bit worse. So there are a couple things you can do, a couple easy kitchen hacks you can do to reduce it. Nothing's really going to eliminate it altogether, but if you can keep it from flying all over the place in the first place, like when you first pull this out and open it up, which would be a really nice improvement on the situation. So there are a couple things you can do. First of all, this one's nice because it has a lid. So you pull it out after your coffee's been ground and you just give it a couple taps. That will knock most of this down off the walls. There's still going to be some dust there, but it's not going to be as bad because you've knocked a lot of it down. Other thing you can do before you grind any coffee, and I just knocked a few dust particles out of there, so let's get rid of those. Take a paper towel that's damp. I don't mean wet, because if you're in a hurry and you want to grind right away, then you're going to have too much moisture in here. Take a paper towel. All I do is get a few drops of water on my hand from the faucet, and I just kind of pat it on here just to moisten it. It's barely moist. And you're just going to take it and you're going to wipe out the entire collection cup like this, including the bottom, and up the sides, and the inside of the lid, because the coffee is going to come through that hole and dispense in there, and it will immediately stick to the lid. So you want the damp part of the paper towel to wipe that down. And you put it back in here. Okay, let's grind some coffee. I'm going to do a medium setting simply because I'm not a scientist, I'm not a chemist, or an electrician, so I don't know why it is that, I'm sure a lot of you out there might already know, the larger you grind the coffee, the larger particle size, the more static is created. Like I said, a lot of you might know the answer to that. I don't, but I'm just going to do a little quick demonstration here. I'm going to put a little bit of coffee in here. Maybe a little more than that so we can see what's going on. Now I've wiped this out, so let's see. It is March 2nd, and we had snow yesterday, and it's really cold. The temperature's in the 20s, so there is a little bit of static in the air. So let's see what happens here. Okay, the other thing that it'll do with this digital readout is it will time down. Depending on how many cups you have set, it will automatically set a number of seconds, and it will time down until it's done. I could have stopped that because I knew the beans were gone, but I just wanted to time it out and make sure everything got down. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this out gently. You can see some of it climbed up the walls. But you just hold your finger on the lid and just give it a few sharp raps, and most of it does drop down, okay? So this is at setting number 10. This is right in the middle of the medium setting for auto drip. Okay, so I'm really hoping that you can pick up the grind size here. I'm going to try to get it close, just so that you can see. I'm hoping that my camera focuses on that, so you can kind of see what the grind, and you can just see how consistent it is. Okay. All right. And now one more tip here for trying to reduce the static. Don't leave all this behind. When you're done grinding coffee for the day, or at least for that time of day in the morning or whatever it is, get all this out of here. Either brush it or wipe it out immediately, because this left behind is holding on to static charge. And when you grind another portion of coffee, it's going to pick up more static charge. It's kind of like a vicious circle. It's just going to keep going on and on and on. So I'm going to get this out of here. best I can in a hurry here. And also wipe off the lid. Okay. Put this back in. And I just want to go all the way down to 1, the lowest setting for espresso. Reason being that espresso is extremely popular. And everybody's looking for a decent grinder for espresso. And I just want to show what this one does for espresso. I personally do use it for espresso on occasion because I have a pressurized portafilter on my espresso machine, so it's not as crucial. But if you have an expensive, say, $500, $1,000 espresso machine, I would definitely invest in a larger, more capable grinder. This is a great grinder for everything, including a pressurized portafilter, which, you know, is not a very expensive machine, and it's very forgiving. But if you've invested that much money in a larger, fancier, non-pressurized way of making your espresso, I would invest in a more capable grinder. But I just want to show you what the grind size is like. And I'm just going to take this down to 1, and I'm going to just manually grind this until it's out. All right, let me wipe out my dish real quick here. Okay. So, as you can see, espresso isn't nearly as clingy. A little bit, but not nearly as bad. But this is the finest that this will go. Now it's pretty fine, but not super fine, not like the manufacturer would have you believe. But this is what it looks like. I'm hoping you can get a good idea of the fineness. So it's very consistent. It's just not super, super fine. All right. So same thing as before. For cleaning, I would run some dry minute rice through this on a coarser setting. Run that through. Pull the burrs out like I did in the beginning of the video. Brush everything out of the chute. Really get in there in the chute with a tiny brush because this machine, for some reason, holds on to a lot of ground coffee in there. It's a great machine, but for some reason, Cuisinarts hold on to a lot of coffee inside the machine. So I hope this is helpful to some of you. And again, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.